I wanted to demonstrate my finishing technique, which is a modern variation on applying oil varnish and rubbing down with steel wool between coats. Today we're going to use a mixture of varnish and paint thinner and wet sand. And you're going to want to have gloves on. You'll see why shortly. All right, so let's prepare our varnish mixture. I've got some polyurethane. Got it at the local Home Depot. And yeah, this is all very messy. All right, yeah, don't forget to close up our lid. Our varnish can. Don't want to forget to do that. And fill it up with paint thinner. Completely ordinary paint thinner. Mix it up. So after this, we're going to wet sand. And I have prepared a set of sanding blocks all the way from 150 through 220. Those when you wet sand at 120 and when you wet sand at 150 and 220, it creates a slurry of varnish and sawdust that fills in the pores a bit. As you move up to 320, 400, and 600, it's just more polishing between coats, and you don't have to do it as hard. We're on this particular piece already up to 600. So here's the wet sanding. We pour some finish on. We smear it around, trying to get all the spots. And you can see why we have the gloves, right? This is just beyond messy. And in fact, I have a tarp over my entire table, a painting tarp over my entire table, so that I can not have to clean up as much. And I even have some, random scraps of wood that I'm using to elevate my pieces off the table, off the tarp, so they don't stick. Now, once you get to this level, once you've smeared it on, just looking for a nice even coating, and I was still working on that. Probably should have picked a smaller piece to demonstrate for this video, but I guess I wanted you to see the whole thing. You can't really see the whole thing with a smaller piece. Okay, now I'm starting to sand. At the lower grits, I would sand back and forth about 20 times. Here it's about 10. You just want to smooth it between the coats, and at 600, you're really just sort of polishing a bit. Get that last little edge. Yep. Okay, up to 10. I mean, it's not all that critical. No one's really going to complain if you sand too much. You'll just sand off the previous coat and have to put another one on, so yeah.
Oh no, wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is being saying what you could do is you gotta let the paint thinner dry off a bit before you go to the next step. The next step is the buffing. I have a buffing pad chucked into my drill press there, and I've seeded it with a bit of paste wax actually to help with the process. And what we're doing is we're buffing off the pools of varnish from the previous step, getting all those off, and then we'll slowly work away from getting rid of the major pools of varnish to getting rid of paint drips and so forth. And that was me signed because it's actually kind of a heavy piece of wood to hold with 2 hands in front of you. I mean, it's an exercise in Pilates class, right? Hold the weight in front of your hands. Here we're getting rid of the paint streaks on the edge because we don't want the varnish streaks. That would look bad. We're checking to make sure the varnish streaks are gone. Finding a few more. Now, the light, it works for me when I'm doing the polishing, but it doesn't work so well for the video. It all looks perfect. Trust me, it's not. There are pools of paint and streaks that I'm working my way out. Then as I get it up to a higher level of polish, the polisher itself leaves round streaks that I have to buff out. Since this is the last finish coat, I actually have to get it perfect, completely perfect. Anyway, this is coming along nicely. Oops. You can see the path slime sticks to the surface you're finishing. That's because you're pressing too hard. You're also generating a little bit of heat, which helps the varnish set. Now I'm looking at it. Yep, we're done, and it's finished. There you go.